Sean Koerner, Simon Hunter, Darren Rovell and Samantha Previte on the Action Network news desk, folks. It's 11 a.m. The most exciting window in sports is open. Lineups are being locked. Bets are being made. We're going to give you everything you need to get ready for smart decision making. All of the facts, none of the fluff. Everything we're talking about, the research, the data, the analysis, the picks, available in the award-winning Action Network app. As my friend Chris Raybon says, if you haven't downloaded it yet, what are you doing? Plus, Darren Rovell has a poll on his Twitter feed right now of the three big underdogs over the next 24 to 36 hours. We're talking about the Texans. We're talking about the Lions. We're talking about the Giants. Which one of those teams is most likely to win outright? Let's get to our first segment. We're talking about player props. Sean Koerner, what do you got?
So I'm going with Darren Waller to go under 68.5 receiving yards. Now, I realize Darren Waller is an elite tight end. He's my number 2 tight end in fantasy today, but this number is way too high. He's gone under this number in 6 of 8 games this year, which is pretty remarkable considering Derek Carr has averaged 314 passing yards a game this year. Carr's passing prop is 35 yards lower than that. So I don't know how they came up with this number for Waller. And one of the reasons that Waller's been a little less consistent this year is because of a receiver like Hunter Renfrow, who's been on fire. He's had 7 catches in 3 games in a row now. And he typically has, a similar route tree to Darren Waller. So I think that'll continue today. I'm projecting Waller closer to 60.5 receiving yards. Now, this line has dropped a few yards already, but it's still about 8 yards too high. So I love Darren Waller under 68.5 receiving yards today.
This line was at 73.5, so it's dropped about 5 yards. This is, as we do every week, our Sean Koerner Convince Me exclusive contest prop. If you think you know how many yards exactly Darren Waller is going to have today for the Raiders, reply to @Action Network HQ. If you are right and you're the first one to do it, you could win $100. Simon, what is that on your head?
Chad, I'm wearing a turkey for Thanksgiving Day week.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All the props for the show.
You're one big turkey.
So staying with the season of giving, last week people complained. They said I gave out too easy of a prop. That Ingram touchdown was too easy, Chad. And I said to them, you know what? I'll give you a tough one then.
By the way, people are idiots if they're saying it's too easy to give away a prop that wins. I'm sorry. Are people
I'm doing
not
a thing here, Chad.
Money?
Just go with it. I'm doing a thing here. Go with it.
Okay, go. I'm going.
Browns plus 500 anytime touchdown for the defense. People, a holiday gift this week. We got Tim Boyle. Have you looked at Tim Boyle's stats from college? They're real. You should look them up right now if your computer, but I'll tell you anyway. This guy was 1 touchdown for 13 interceptions at UConn. Then he transferred colleges. For his senior year, he went 11 touchdowns for 13 interceptions in college. This guy is horrible. Now he's starting this week for an awful Detroit team. Browns coming off a huge loss against New England. I love the value of plus 500 of this Browns defense to get a touchdown. Plus, it's how do we not take this? It's a season of giving. We're going to get a gift here from the Browns, aren't we, Chad?
You know what? I love the theme. I love the props for the props. Raybon, I don't know, Raybon. Like, you usually come in ugly. I got Koerner giving me something that I actually think is really smart. He gave me 3 facts that I think are amazing. I got Simon coming in, playing to the audience. You're just going to do something that annoys me.
I am, Chad. I mean, over the last 4 weeks, I think I've given you about 100 total yards of unders, and they've combined for about 4 total yards in those games. So we got to keep it going. This week, I'm going with BYRON Pringle, under 29.5 receiving yards. Is he the Chiefs' number 2 receiver? Is he the Chiefs' number 3 receiver? Is he the Chiefs' number 4 receiver? Is he the Chiefs' number 5 receiver? Who knows? It switches every game. So he ran, I think, like 60% of routes last week for the team, and all of a sudden his prop is up to 30 yards. He's gone under this more than half the time this year, and he's playing a Cowboys defense that plays man coverage at a top 8 rate in the league. You know how many catches he has against man coverage this year? One all year. His yards per route run against man is a half a yard. So it's going to be really tough for him to get over this number. And I think Andy Reid is going to go back to playing the other receivers more, because last week, remember, who did they play? The Raiders. They play zone at the second highest rate. So you saw a lot of Pringle. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another bagel here. Byron Pringle, under 29.5 receiving yards.
I don't know why Byron Pringle's numbers are so low, because everyone knows if you've got a Pringle, you can't have just one. Thank you.
Just make
Thank
your choice,
you.
Chad.
I will be here all week. I don't know which way to go. I love everything you guys just said. Koerner gave me, this is why I love you guys so much. Koerner gave me 3 great facts. Simon came on with a prop on his head, gave me a prop, and gave me the college stats for the Lions starting quarterback this year. And Raybon, on brand, continues to give me the ugliest props I could possibly think of. And yet every single week, they freaking cash. That's what's so annoying, is like, you made a great point, Raybon. You made a great point. This was about unders, but I think it's also true for players. Props and unders, there's one of those things where you start out winning. So you have to look for the unders. Give me Byron Pringle, because I can't avoid the Pringle.
Oh, man, it's going to be a long show.
Under 29.5. You guys all played great. Koerner, Simon, I appreciate it, but I'm going with Raybon and Byron Pringle. Darren, what do you got?
All right, first we have the poll update. Chad, you're salty this morning, by the way. We have a poll update. Which team is most likely to win outright of the big underdogs today and tomorrow? We have the Lions at 43%, more than 4,200 votes in. The Giants against the Bucks at 36%, and Houston at Tennessee, 21%. Most bet teams today, the Green Bay Packers, minus 1.5. By the way, the Packers have covered 9 games in a row. The last team to cover 10 games in a row was the 1992 San Diego Chargers. Tennessee at Houston. This number was at 9.5. BetMGM is now offering it at 8.5, despite the fact that there are many sports books that are offering it at 10.5. So are you tempted there? And the third most bet on team at BetMGM is the Baltimore Ravens against your Chicago Bears.
Look, there's a lot of speculation as we were coming on the show. Is Lamar Jackson going to be healthy enough to play? There's conversations about what is happening with Trace McSorley on the roster. Darren, you want to?
So that number was this morning 5.5. At least at BetMGM, it's now 4.5. And there are places it is 4. Let me just check the last place I'm looking at here. Yeah, it's almost universally 4.5 now.
I saw it looking at actionnetwork.com this morning, comparing odds. I saw one place had it at 3.5.
Okay.
So that one is dropping quickly. Somebody knows something about something.
Can we get that on a t-shirt? Somebody knows something about something.
Someone always knows something, right? All right, let's get to do you want to remind everybody about the poll one more time?
Yeah, poll, vote on the poll. Which team of the underdogs is most likely to win outright? It is on my Twitter feed. And even though I didn't pin it, Evan Abrams pinned it because he has my password. So it's pinned right now.
Class act, Evan Abrams. He's thinking for all of us. He's the one who knows something at all times. All right, let's get to our next segment. This is our best sides. Sean Koerner, I know that this is a game that you like. I know there's a game that everybody likes a little bit even more. Tell me what you're thinking right now.
Yeah, so I'm going with the Washington football team +3 against the Panthers. Now, both of these teams were essentially double-digit underdogs last week and won outright. Washington beat a Tom Brady-led Buccaneers team, while Carolina beat a Colt McCoy-led Cardinals team. I think the public is overreacting just a bit to Carolina's win last week, especially Cam Newton's performance. You know, he scored 2 touchdowns on 9 snaps, basically in goal line packages that they specifically designed for him. Now he's getting the start this week, but head coach Matt Rule is already hinting that PJ Walker is still going to get playing time here. So something tells me that Cam isn't fully up to speed with the offense. So, you know, while he's going to be a huge upgrade over Sam Darnold long term, I think this week they could struggle on offense. So I'm looking to fade them here. And on the other side, you know, I was really impressed with Washington's win last week. The offense looked a lot better following the week 9 bye. And I think part of that was due to Brandon Scherf, you know, the right guard. He's really the leader of this offensive line. He was able to return. Running back Antonio Gibson was able to rest his shin over the bye. So they were able to dominate time of possession. I think they could do that again here. I just like getting the key number +3 against the Panthers. So this is partly a fade against the overreaction of the Panthers last week, and partly, you know, people not really respecting Washington's huge win over the Buccaneers last week. So I love getting them at +3 here.
I think it's a great play. I can't argue with anything you're saying. I love it. I think Ron Rivera's got some special things in the defensive playbook that will confuse Cam Newton for whatever amount of time he's on the field. This feels like a coaching advantage for Ron Rivera. Simon.
Chad walking right into a trap this week, taking a square dog, taking the Colts +7 against the Bills. What the hell? I don't get this line. I don't understand it. I'm going to be walking right into it. +7 is way too many points for this Colts team to be getting right now. The Bills, I understand the hype behind them. They've had games this year where they've really dominated bad opponents, but we've looked at it. They haven't played well against good defenses. They played 2 top 20 defenses. Played Pittsburgh, they lost outright. They played Tennessee, they lost outright. Now they're getting a Colts team that is a top 10 defense. Again, you can say the Colts aren't great against the pass. We're looking at bad weather. I don't know if Darren's going to touch on it in the next segment, but we're supposed to get bad weather up there in New York. It's supposed to start raining really bad around 2:00. So if the Bills don't get an early lead and they can't pass in these high winds, I feel like we're getting a great number here in what should be a really sloppy game at +7. And last year, these two exact same teams played in the playoffs. Just the difference was the quarterback was Phillip Rivers, who the guy retired after the game. That's how old he was and bad he is. You got a young guy in Carson Wentz. If he's just not dumb, doesn't turn it over, the best run team in football right now in the Colts against this Bills team, +7. It's just, I don't get it. I might be walking into a trap, but I have to take this +7.
Well, I agree with you. There's one problem with everything you're saying. Everything you're saying is predicated on an if-then statement about Carson Wentz. And Phillip Rivers might have been old. He might have retired, but Carson Wentz has been the only reason why the Colts haven't been the best team in the AFC South. He's the only reason why our collective, yours and mine, hearts have been broken so many times. Carson Wentz, at some point in this game, it's going to be raining. It's going to be slippery. They're going to be close. And he's going to be in trouble. And he's going to be going down. And before his knee touches, he's going to try to sling a pass backhanded, probably with his left hand, right into some Buffalo Bills defensive backs waiting arms, where they're going to run it back for a touchdown. And they're going to close the door on the Colts. And you're right. That's going to be what the sharp trap is. Raybon. This guy's a turkey. Tell me what you got.
I mean, why bet on Taylor Heineke or Carson Wentz when you can bet on Russell Wilson against Colt McCoy? The Seahawks are coming off a loss. They're covering at 66% off a loss in the career of Wilson and Carroll. Adam Schefter saying that they're going to hold Murray out. Seattle's still alive in this wild card race. This is for their season. And by the way, just like last year, their defense coming on strong again. Just 12.3 points per game allowed over their last 3 games. Their points allowed have gone down each of their last 5. And Trey Brown on the outside is playing well. They finally have cornerbacks playing well on the outside. What do you think is going to happen after Seattle got shut out last week? Like, what do you think is going to happen now that they're playing Colt McCoy and this Cardinals team that, by the way, got destroyed by PJ Walker last week? I mean, I thought this was going to be hard to convince you of, but after these other 2 bets, like, I think you got to go with mine.
Here's my question. I'm starting to come around to your philosophy. If this game is at 3 or potentially 3.5, as the news about Murray comes out, Do you still like it?
Take it up to get it before it goes to 3.5 because it's still Seattle. Like they only play close games. You know, if you get a blowout with Seattle, you know that's just gravy. But I think you still got to kind of count on them playing close games. So yeah, get the 3 before it runs out.
Before I make my decision, I would like to know, is there any game on the board that anyone here, Sean Koerner, might have chosen if they knew it was available in the script and someone, maybe Chris Raybon, hadn't changed his mind?
Yes, that was Vikings +1.5 for me, for many reasons.
Give me one or two.
Well, you know, the Vikings, they're getting back Anthony Barr, Harrison Smith, even Patrick Peterson on defense. Whereas, you know, the Packers, they're going to still be without David Bakhtiari. They're without Aaron Jones, and Aaron Rodgers dealing with a painful toe injury, so he's playing at less than 100%. I think the Vikings should be -2, -2.5 here, and they're still +1.5. So, I mean, I still love Washington +3, but I really love Vikings getting +1.5.
But Sean, the Packers are 9-1 against the spread.
Exactly. Even more reason to fade them.
This is a tough one for me. To full disclosure, I've already bet the Colts +7. So for me, it's really coming down to Washington football team +3 or Seattle -2.5. I don't know what it is about Raybon today, but I'm just feeling them. I'm feeling the Seahawks -2.5 right now. I got to go back to my roots. I love a short home favorite of less than a field goal. Why wouldn't I do that when I've got Russell Wilson going back home? Great opportunity against a Cardinals team that probably won't have their quarterback. So yeah, I'm doing it. Koerner, I'm sorry. I apologize. I made you run through hoops for two picks and I didn't take any of them. Samantha, please tell us what's happening in the fantasy news desk. Give us some updates on some of these player conversations.
Of course, Chad. This is another tough week for injuries across the NFL, so I'm going to hit you with some of the most important actives and inactives you need to know about when setting those Week 11 lineups. First, it's kicking it off with a very banged up Cardinals team. Kyler Murray is listed as questionable with this ankle injury, but is expected to miss the game against Seattle. That is according to ESPN. The team will make the decision at game time, which is 4:25. So definitely plan accordingly. The Cardinals do have a Week 12 bye, so it seems like we won't see him until after that, which means Colt McCoy will get the start for the third week in a row. This is a bad omen for all of the Cardinals pass catchers who are healthy, which does not include DeAndre Hopkins, who is out with a hamstring injury. Second, Alvin Kamara has been ruled out with a knee injury against Philly. He sprained his MCL, which means that Mark Ingram will get the start for the second week in a row. He definitely has high-end RB2, low-end RB1 potential, and Tony Jones, who was just activated, will back him up. Third, we have James Robinson, who is listed as questionable, but will play today versus the 49ers. He missed week 9 with a heel injury and popped up on the injury report with a knee issue this week. Next, we have Amari Cooper, who has been ruled out in the Cowboys marquee matchup against the Chiefs. He tested positive for COVID-19 and is unvaccinated, which means he will miss this week and next week due to league protocols. This is a huge boost for CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. Next, we have Nick Chubb, who is expected to play today versus the Lions. He missed week 10 after testing positive for COVID-19. This is a downgrade for D'Ernest Johnson, who has been valuable when Chubb has been out. And then finally, the biggest news of the week, as we've all talked about previously, is Lamar Jackson, who is questionable. He will be a game time decision in Chicago. League sources told ESPN that it was going to be 50-50. He did practice in full on Friday, but it's not looking super good. So they may have to fire up either Tyler Huntley or Trace McSorley, who was just promoted from the practice squad. Marquise Brown, on the other hand, is out with a thigh injury. And that is all that I have for you for actives and inactives in week 11. Back to you, Chad.
Thank you, Samantha. Look, you got to keep track of what's happening with the player news. Obviously, that has a huge impact on decisions you're going to make. That Ravens game, the line has been moving crazy in the direction of the Bears. Now we understand why. Let's get to some totals. Sean Koerner, you're up first.
So I'm going Lions, Browns under 42.5. You know, I've been targeting these Lions unders the past few weeks now. Just to recap some of the reasons why last week, basically the Lions are really good at running the clock while not scoring points, which is fantastic for unders. And then now they're starting Tim Boyle at quarterback this week. And, Simon stole my thunder a bit by rattling off his college stats. So thank you for saving me some time on those. But also, he's looked terrible in limited preseason action the past few years. I'm a degenerate that bets on preseason, plays DFS in preseason. So I've seen him play in the preseason. He's terrible. Now, he's coming back from the IR. He had thumb surgery earlier in the offseason. So it was just less than a month ago. He progressed to lightly throwing the football. So he might not even be 100% here. He's only been throwing passes for less than a month. So this could be the closest thing we see to a Kendall Hinton type of game this year. If you remember, the game last year was pretty ugly. So I think we could see that here. And, the Browns are more than capable of just running the crap out of the ball, winning 21-10 and going home. Like, that's what I'm seeing here. And, the forecast calls for rain as well. This is going to be an ugly game. And I'm projecting this at 40.5. And honestly, that feels a bit too high. So 42.5 seems like a gift.
Tim Boyle at less than 100%. I can't imagine why anybody wouldn't want to have that game permanently fixed on their television when they're watching Red Zone. Simon, what do you got?
I got probably the most least fun bet of the day, in my opinion. The under in this Dallas Cowboys Chiefs game. I believe it's 95% of the money at certain books is on the over. Everyone's betting this up. It went all the way up to 56.5. The professionals came in. They bet it down now to 55.5. Way too many points for these two teams that I get why people are starting to believe in the Chiefs. They look incredible against the Raiders. To me, that was fluky. That wasn't them getting right. That was every little thing going right for this Chiefs team. It was 3rd and 10. Mahomes was picking up 22 yards like vintage Mahomes. He's not vintage Mahomes. That was more about this Vegas team really not drafting well and having a terrible secondary than it was about Mahomes finding his groove. So I'm fading that noise. I like the Cowboys. The only fear is the Cowboys have lost two top DNs. And, I'm putting a lot on Parsons here that he's going to be the one getting pressure on Mahomes. It's a little scary in that position. But at the same time, the Cowboys offense is why I feel so good about this. This is going to be a ball control matchup. They're going to be running the ball a lot. They're going to be eating the clock up a lot. So to me, 56 points, you're going to need a lot of luck to cover that number, especially in an outdoor game with the weather there in Kansas City. It's all pointing towards being a really good under bet. So as long as you have this above 54, 53.5, I like this under.
Randy Gregory not playing for the Cowboys, probably a top 3 defensive end when it comes to pass rush rate in the NFL this year. You've got a boom or bust all-star cornerback in Trayvon Diggs, who is either going to pick Mahomes off or he's going to give up 85 touchdowns in the game. You actually have no idea what it's going to be. That is a sticky one, Simon. That's a sticky one. Raybon, what do you got?
Well, he's not going to give it up to BYRON Pringle, though. I'll say that.
No, definitely not. They're going to use him to lock down BYRON Pringle today. That's how dangerous he is.
Then it's definitely going over. But I'm going with Washington, Carolina under 43. I mean, this is the under you got to take on this slate. Washington's been under in 4 straight games. Carolina's been under in 3 of the last 4. You have Carolina that's up to number 3. Top 3 defense. I said this early in the year. People are going to watch out for Carolina, and they've only gotten better on defense with the acquisition of Stephon Gilmore. They can lock up on Washington at the cornerback positions, which is rough because Washington's down to their 3rd string tight end in John Bates. Carolina can kind of pay all the attention they want to Terry McLaurin and just lock him up. And then on the other side of the ball, Carolina, what do they want to do with Cam Newton, especially at quarterback? They want to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball. Washington, number 2 on early down rush success rate, number 6 in run defense DVOA. So yes, I know they have Sweat and Chase Young out, but you're talking about an elite run defense. So they should still at least be above average to average against the run. And either way, the clock's going to be bleeding out every time Carolina has the ball on offense. And I'm going to do something that no one's done on this show yet. So this is my kind of bullet in the chamber for you to pick my 3rd pick and me to get the sweep here on week 11. Convince me. You know who's refereeing this game, Chad? Bill Vinovich. In his career, the under is 69, 46, and 1, 60%, according to our Action Labs data. No one has brought out the referee stats yet. You got to pick my under, Chad.
Dude, that is amazing. Nobody uses referee or umpire stats better than Colin Wilson at the Action Network, and you just usurped his authority by pulling out a Bill Vinovich stat on this show. I was all in on Koerner because, like, how do you not take Tim Boyle? How do you not take Baker Mayfield when before he had a torn labrum, bone spurs, and bruised knee, he was still Baker freaking Mayfield. He just wasn't that good. So I was really leaning towards the Lions and the Browns. Bill Vinovich, Koerner, defend yourself. Because right now, I like Raybon's got a little bit of a lead. Simon's out of it. That's crazy. It's between you two.
Well, to be fair, for my game, the referee doesn't matter. We have Tim Boyle at quarterback. So there's just not going to be any points scored.
Wait.
And, you know, defending Simon's prop earlier, I think the most likely team Tim Boyle's going to throw a touchdown to is the Browns. So that's the only fear here. But either way, this is going to be ugly. 42.5 points is too high. Now, I do agree with Raybon. It's going to be a low scoring game. That's also why I do like Washington getting +3 in what should be a low scoring game. So I'm not, you know, fading Raybon here. I'm just saying it's going to be so much easier to win this under with Tim Boyle under center.
And let the record show, Chad didn't pick any of my bets last week. We went 3-0. Chad is mush. So, Chad, stay away from my picks, please.
Oh,
No,
listen.
here's what's gonna happen. Because Simon's bets always hit when Chad doesn't pick them. Chad already didn't pick Simon's bet that the Browns were going to score a touchdown. That means the Browns are going to score a touchdown, which we know they're scoring 35 on offense. So if they score another one on defense, it's going to get mighty close there unless they completely shut them out, which means you got to take my bet.
You know what? I'm going with Koerner because you know why? Even when Koerner is telling me why his idea is the best, he still says, I love everybody. Everyone's wonderful.
Well, because they were playing, because it's playing into my bets as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
borderline selfish.
Koerner wins that one. Simon, I might never pick one of your bets again because you hurt my feelings. Here are my final picks. BYRON Pringle, Kansas City Chiefs under 29.5. We know Diggs is locking them down. The Seahawks -2.5 against the Cardinals, and the Lions Browns under 42.5. Tim Boyle, Baker Mayfield. It doesn't get any better than that. Okay, Samantha, you're up.
I think Simon should just get a point just for the hat because it is absolutely incredible. I love that this has become a hat show. Darren's blue cheese hat from last week was epic. So anyway, I am going to hit you with 3 starts and 3 sits as always that you need to know about when fixing those week 11 lineups. First, I am so excited to start my Cam Newton at home versus Washington. In spite of a lot of criticism last year, he actually ended up as QB 20 for fantasy, surrounded by a lot less impressive weapons. He scored on his first 2 snaps of his debut for the Panthers. The Washington football team is allowing the most fantasy points to quarterbacks this year and the 3rd most passing yards per game. So Cam has QB1 upside right out of the gate, especially with Chase Young and Montez Sweat out. Second, A.J. Dillon is a must start in Minnesota. He exploded in week 10 after Aaron Jones went down with a sprained MCL. He had 128 scrimmage yards and a pair of touchdowns, finished as the top RB for fantasy. He is definitely an RB1 so long as Jones is out and he could miss multiple weeks. Third, I want you to start Hunter Renfrow at home versus the Bengals. He has been so consistent all year and has higher upside now with Henry Ruggs out. He has 3 weeks in a row with exactly 7 catches. The Bengals were also just torched for 41 points to the Browns and 34 points to the Jets before their bye. Moving on to sits, I am sitting Taylor Heineke on the road in Carolina. He did muster a top 12 finish last week against the Buccaneers' weak secondary, but he gets a matchup on the polar opposite end of the spectrum against the Panthers, whose defense has allowed an NFL low 174 yards of passing per game and have allowed the 3rd fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks this year. Next, I am out on Mike Williams versus the Steelers. He was the wide receiver 1 through the first 5 weeks of the season, but has completely plummeted in the second half of the year. Since week 6, he is wide receiver 80, averaging just 4.7 points per game and half PPR, and his targets have dropped significantly. So I consider him a wide receiver 3 in this less than ideal matchup against the Steelers, whose defense has been above average against the pass. And finally, I want you to sit Dallas Goedert versus the Saints. He tied his second worst week for fantasy in Denver and has been disappointing ever since the departure of Zach Ertz, who many felt was holding back Goddard from his true potential. This is a difficult matchup against the Saints, who rank 8th best against the tight end position this year. And that is all I have for you for start sit. Back to you, Chad.
That is a great stat about Mike Williams, from wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 80 in 4 or 5 weeks. That is insane.
Hero to
Darren,
zero, just like that.
Seriously, hero to zero. Darren, I would never use an easy, simple transition. Speaking of hero to zero, please give us whatever the update is you have right now.
In the poll, we have the most likely underdog you guys think to win outright is the Detroit Lions, 43%, remarkably.
Tim Boyle's family is coming in strong on this poll.
I don't get it. And before I get to the weather, I must say, BetMGM now has the Bears down to +3. So that happened during our show.
Yeah, Lamar's out.
And so that's obviously the move there from 4.5. And then weather we must talk about. The Houston, Tennessee game in Tennessee is supposed to be a steady rain throughout. Indy, Buffalo, that's the big one. That's 100% chance of rain and winds in between 15 and 25 miles per hour. And Detroit, Cleveland, it will be raining at the start, but should taper off, but that doesn't mean there won't be massive suckage.
It's true. All right. Here's a recap of our bet. Sean,
wait, can I say one more thing? Hold on. I got to say one more thing. Okay. At Caesars, the 10 of the 14 totals have the majority of the money on the under. And if you were to bet $100 on every game on the under this year, you would be 85, 65, and 1. You would be up $1,200. The next best year of betting every game on the under through this week is 2005, and you would be up $88.
Wow. So
Now, don't tell me
basically,
why me, the under king, has not bet that many unders this year, but
I feel like then we should just be betting the Browns, Lions under, the Redskins, the Washington football team.
cancel them.
I apologize. Washington football team, Panthers under, and why not? Let's just bet the Chiefs, Cowboys under. Here's a recap. Sean Koerner, Darren Waller under 68.5 receiving yards. He likes the Washington football team +3. He also likes Minnesota +1. Detroit, Cleveland under, I think it's down to 42.5, but 43. Simon Hunter, you like the Cleveland defense to score a touchdown anytime +500. Thank you, Tim Boyle. Indianapolis +7 against the Buffalo Bills today. Dallas, Kansas City under 56.5. Chris Raybon, big winner of the day. Byron Pringle under 29.5 yards. You like Seattle -2.5. You like Washington, Carolina under 43. 4. Chris Raybon, Simon Hunter, Sean Koerner, Darren Rovell, Samantha Previte. I am Chad Millman. This has been Convince Me, presented by BetMGM. Good luck today.